Earlier this week, I made a video showcasing the benches I made in 2024. Well, the year is not over, and I found some free materials that are gonna be perfect to make 3 benches to sell on the marketplace. Here's how I made them. I start by cutting the two 2x6s in half to joint them into a 2x12. At half length, they'll be easier to mill and make square with my 6-inch joiner. Before heading to the joiner, I decide which way I'll put the pieces together. I only want to make the bottom and middle faces flat on the joiner. I make the board square on 2 faces, bottom and middle, to give the planer a reference and to have a flush glue up when making the 2x12. I'm using a biscuit joiner to align the boards in my glue up. I'm pre-marking where I want to add biscuits. Using the biscuits makes alignment easy, both horizontally and vertically. Use plenty of glue, and let it dry properly before the next steps in the planer. Using sideboards protects my bench top from clamp marks and helps apply pressure evenly all along the joint. I also clamp them to the table. It helps them not twist and stay flat. Once the glue is dry, plane the bench tops starting by the jointed side down. I plane both sides to get a nice finish before sanding. I also make the legs with free wood, in this case palletwood runners, made of 2x4s. I remove all the nails before milling it down to usable lumber. Before using any power tools, I use a metal detector to make sure I didn't skip any nails or other metal in the 2x4s. Once I'm sure there's no metal, I plane both faces of the 2x4 flat and clean on the planer. Finally, I remove the last 2 faces on the table saw, leaving me with a nice clean lumber to make my bench legs with. I love using my dust collector to clean around once I'm done using it on a tool. YouTube shops don't stay clean magically. On the miter saw, I cut all the leg parts at 7 degrees, 16 inches long. I used a stop block to make them all identical without measuring 12 times. Place the legs flat on the table. Distance them so they're about an inch wider than the bench tops at the base. And using scraps from cutting the legs, measure and cut the cross pieces to do 6 pieces in the shape of a capital A. I pre-drilled the bigger pieces from under and the smaller pieces from the top. Similar to using pocket holes, I don't use them because with the angles of my pieces, this is just simpler and much faster. Add glue, use a clamp to hold it in place, and screw the leg assemblies together. I'm adding a skirt to support the frame of the bench. I'm making it with 3/4 inch slices of 2x4. Sand the edges of all the leg assemblies to make sure they can't do splinters. I don't spend crazy amounts of time sanding everything smooth, as I'm going to paint it with a pretty thick and shiny paint that will hide all of that anyway. Time to finally assemble all the frame parts together. I measure about 5 inches from the sides, where my legs will go, to get the length needed for the skirt before cutting it on the miter saw. Using an offcut from the skirts, I measure and cut a piece to go in the middle. Pre-drill, glue, and screw the middle pieces to form a H shape. Using a longer clamp to hold everything in place, add glue and pre-drill the legs from the side. As an added design bonus, I pre-drill a shallow hole first with a bigger bit to hide the screws with a dowel after. Make sure to pre-drill the bigger hole first if you do this, to avoid splitting. Add the screws and then the base is complete, minus the dowels which aren't structural, but added later. Add glue in the holes, then pop an appropriate sized dowel in there. I let them dry about half an hour before cutting them off, so I do other work while that happens. While this dries, I get the bench tops ready. I start by using the hand plane to clean the sides. This is much quicker than sanding and way more fun. Then I sand the flat faces, edges, corners until it looks nice. Those are some rough pieces of wood, so it can take a while. I cut the dowels off with a Japanese handsaw. Those are great to leave our almost finished result, ready to sand. Time to get some color on those legs. I use a black paint that gives me a nice, almost metallic, semi-gloss result that my buyers love on most of the benches that I sell. To avoid buying a bag of 90-degree brackets to connect the legs to the bench tops, I make my own out of wood. Using a hardwood offcut, I cut slices of about 3/4 inch by 2 inches and add holes on opposite sides. Those will be used to attach the bench tops. Flip your bench tops bottom up, align the base and use our homemade connectors to screw the base to the bench top. I wanted to keep costs at a minimum, as always, to make the most on the marketplace. Bags of those connectors would have cost me a few dollars, which is a lot more than zero. I finished the bench tops with 2 coats of wipe-on poly. This product is great and very fast and easy to apply. It yellows the wood a little, but it's not a problem with the look I'm going for. Those benches are ready to go on the marketplace. I'm going to let them dry another day, bring them to my living room for some good photos, and put them on for sale. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos, and see you next time.